Okay, we're on Sheviit Perik Yud Mishnah, the fifth Mishnah in the 10th chapter of Masechet Sheviit. We're talking about the idea of Pruzbol, and just to remind you, what's a Pruzbol? Pruzbol was a document that Chazal instituted that allowed a lender to write this document, to fill in this document, and that would mean that any loans that he had when he signed the document were turned over to Beit Din, and therefore a Shemitah would not cancel out the loans that were owed to him. So now we're going to learn a few dinim, a few rules about the Pruzbol itself. Says the Mishnah, Pruzbol mukdam kasher. Okay, mukdam means if I'm standing here at a certain date, and I wrote that the Pruzbol actually took place at an earlier date. So we'll have a theoretical calendar. Here's my calendar, right? Okay, so it just so happens that today is whatever today is. We're now in Elul, so let's just find Elul. May, June, July. Let's make this a little bigger. There we go. I went to December. Okay. So now it happens to be that, just whenever you're watching this, today happens to be the 15th to 12th of Elul. Tafshin Ayin Vav. Maybe you're watching this 20 years from now. Who knows? Okay. So today's the 12th of Elul. So normally I write a star, I would say that the Pruzbol is Mishamed. I mean, it wouldn't have any effect because it's not Shemitah, whatever. But I write for the 12th of Elul. So let's say it's right before a Shemitah year. Okay, and I write the 12th of Elul. But instead of writing the date of the 12th of Elul, I write the 26th of Tammuz. 2 months before. I said that is that a kosher Pruzbol or not? Says the Mishnah, Pruzbol hamukdam kasher. It is kasher. Okay? Why? So the Bartanura says quite clearly why. Zmano mukdam. He says, this example we gave is kasher. Because when I say that the Pruzbol is earlier, I'm the malveh, I'm the loaner. I have money owed to me. Which means the Pruzbol only covers loans up to the date of the Pruzbol. It only saves the malveh from the loans. He doesn't lose the loans up to the date of the Pruzbol. So therefore, if I make it earlier, if I write an earlier date, that means every loan that I lent after that, up until today, up until Shemitah, are not covered by the Pruzbol. So in that case, if I do that, what I'm doing is I'm hurting myself. Hurrah kocho shel malveh bekach. I'm damaging, I'm weakening the power of the malveh, which is fine, because the purpose of the Pruzbol was to help the poor people. But if I sign a Pruzbol and then make additional loans, those loans are not covered by the Pruzbol, and Shemitah is canceled out, which also helps the poor people. But hameuchar pasul. If I post-date my Pruzbol, so today is, let's say, if I'm on the 26th of Tammuz, but I write the Pruzbol for, the 27th of Elul, that, of course, is pasul, because I'm doing the exact opposite. What I'm doing is I'm post-dating it, but I'm harming the poor people, because I'm actually covering more loans than are actually included, than exist right now. And what I'm saying is any loan up until now, from now until the future date, I also want Shemitah not to cancel them out. That I'm not allowed to do. That's pasul. There's a similar rule for shitrei chov, shtar chov. Shtar chov is a document on a loan. So normally documents on loans, let's just think about your average mortgage. Okay, in your average mortgage, you have a lien on a property. That's your average loan. Okay, so the way it works is the following. I say to the bank, can you lend me $100,000? And they say, sure, we'll lend you $100,000. How are you going to pay us back? So I say, if I can't pay you back, I owe you my house. Bank says, no problem. The house is worth enough. No problem. There's a lien on the property. Okay? That's all fine and good. What happens, so therefore, if I can't pay back, the bank comes and takes my property. What happens if then I say to the next guy, so I took the loan from the bank, and then I went to my local rich person, and I said, I need to borrow $200,000. He says, how are you going to pay me back? I said, well, I'll take a lien on the property. And he doesn't actually do any check, and he says, okay, no problem. That means he's second in line. He's second in line after the first person in line. So therefore, if I default on my first loan, I'm certainly going to default on my second loan, and therefore, the rich Gavir in town is going to lose all his money because I can't pay him back. That's why you have to do what's called a title search when you buy a house. You have to ensure that there's no previous lien on the property, because any prior lien would go to the original, the first lender. So therefore, the following has happened. Let's say I have a shtar chov. Okay, this idea of title search is a very important thing for our Mishnah, because as the Mishnah says, shtar chov hamukdamim psulin. Okay, this is the exact opposite of Pruzbol. If I predate a shtar chov, so what happens is I borrow money on the 29th of Tishrei, but instead of writing the 29th of Tishrei, I write the 1st of Tishrei. Okay, so what's going to happen in that case? I forgot to mention that on the 3rd of Tishrei, I sold my house. Somebody else bought my house. And when he bought the house, he didn't do a title search, or he did a title search, no loans came up because I hadn't yet borrowed the money. So then when I predate the loan to the 20th of Elul or whatever, I say, oh yeah, I lent the rich guy, the rich Gvir, on the 20th of Elul, $100,000. So you bought a house, and it turns out that you bought a house that retroactively had a loan on it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say to the rich guy, I can't pay you. And then the house that I already sold to you, you lose the money. Not me. I don't lose the money because the house had a lien on it. You bought a house with a lien. What did you expect? Should have done a title search. That's a shtar chov hamukdam. Okay, I'll explain it again. Shtar chov hamukdam means I take a loan out and I write a contract and I predate the contract. And basically what I'm doing is I'm messing over anybody who bought my property between the predate and the date of the actual time that I borrowed the money. So therefore, any shtar chov hamukdam, psulim. That's pasul. The whole shtar is pasul, and I can't even pay back. And that's it. I didn't play any games. Nonetheless, Chazal said it is pasul because it's a great scam. What I can do is I'll say to some guy, I say, listen, lend me $100,000, okay? Then we'll predate the loan, and then I'll sell, my property in between. I've already sold my property, predate the loan, and we'll split the difference. We can scam out the guy. He's going to lose the money. Because he's going to lose house because we have a shtar. For this reason, amukdamim are psulim. The Chazal said, even if you can't collect from the shtar, the whole shtar is no good. But if I post-date my shtar chov, if I say, okay, I'm taking the money now, but I'm gonna write the contract for 2 months from now. What that means is that any property I sell from now until 2 months from now has no lien on it, because the lien only takes place from the time of the shtar. So therefore, no one will be hurt other than me, says the Mishnah, ksherim. Second part of the Mishnah. If one person borrowed from 5 lenders, so then he has to write a Pruzbol for each one. Actually, the malveh himself, each lender must write himself a Pruzbol, because the Pruzbol is on the lender. The lender is moster, he gives over the loan to Beit Din to collect. But if one lender, 5 borrowers borrow from one lender, I lent to 5 different people. He writes one Pruzbol for all the loans. Because as we said again, the Pruzbol works on basis of the lender, the malveh. So the malveh gives over his debts to Beit Din to collect. So therefore, if one person borrows from 5 people, each one of them has to sign a Pruzbol to cover his debts. But if 5 borrow from one, then only one malveh has to sign a Pruzbol. We'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, as always, feel free to contact me at arsvalter@gmail.com, and we'll dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman.